What's up, everybody? My name is Nick.
I'm Mike.
We are the Brothers Murph, and this is the best of Board Game Geek.
That's right, it's time to talk about everything Board Game Geek that happened this month, the hottest games that people have been talking about, the most played games, a bit of Board Game Geek news, and on that note, let's get to the news. Just a little bit of news here is that the Board Game Geek market is back. It is back and better than ever. And Aldi took care of a little post to tell you about some things that have changed with the geek market, how it's going to be looking moving forward. And for anyone that already had stuff in the geek market before, one thing to know is that everything that was there before has been transferred over to the new version. So you can keep right on buying and selling those games. The geek market is something that's been very well loved over the years, and we're just so excited that's going to keep on going. So make sure you check out that post to get all your questions answered about the new and improved geek market.
As always, we have a geek store update. There are a whole bunch of restocks that are coming mid-September, which is great because we're going into September right now. So a whole bunch of Geek Up bits are getting restocked. There's always cool games. Arc Nova is back in stock. We do love some Arc Nova. We always end up having to talk about it because a lot of people like Arc Nova a lot. There's also some really cool wooden components by Strata Strike, some really cool stuff for like Seven Wonders Duel you should check out. And there's, again, just more promos, more cool stuff. The Geek Store's always got a lot of cool stuff, and a lot of it's coming back in September, which is really, really great news.
So that's just a little bit of Board Game Geek news for you butts. And now let's get down to the hotness, the hottest games that people are playing. All right, so now we're going to talk about the hottest games of the month. These are the games that people are talking about the most, the pages people are viewing,
we're on the hottest list, the longest, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, let's go and get number 10. Number 10 is a game that's been in people's hands and people have been really, really enjoying it. Also just got an expansion announced. This is Wonderland's War.
Absolutely.
We've played this game a couple times now. I really, really like Wonderland's War. It's just kind of like Battle Quacks of Quedlinburg, where you are Wonderlandians and you are collecting like allies, like rooks and like roses and stuff like that, which are all these little poker chips, little teeny little poker chips like this. And they're great. And then after you kind of are drafting these cards that give you these allies and put your followers out into the different regions of Wonderland, you then go region, and you battle by pulling these chips out of your bag simultaneously.
Add to your strength in that area.
And you can bust if you get too much madness, and you lose all your followers, you will bust out and you will lose. And after that, you kind of just pull until someone wins, and then you get points, and then you can add like castles, which will give you points, and it's really fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. I like the idea that each half of the round you get like the tea party where you collect your followers and your chips, and you go and use those followers and chips in the other half. It's got great art by Manny Tremblay, so it's just like this amazing world of like Wonderland, and everyone's like ready to fight, and they're all going a little bit crazy.
Yeah, and it's
really fun.
And the production value is like
it's bonkers.
Unreal how good it is. Yeah. It's super good. Wonderland's War is really fun. We really like it a lot, and it's been all over the hotness. That's why it's number 10.
Number 9 is a game that we've also personally really been enjoying. It's Terracotta Army. This is another tea game from Board&Dice.
It might be my favorite of the tea games.
It might be. It's really good. It's really up there. And it's kind of like, it serves as what we think of as like an introduction
it's a gateway game
to those types of games. Because if you like Board&Dice and stuff, there's a lot of similar things. There's resource management and whatnot. You're turning in those resources to build out the Terracotta Army. You are artisans and craftsfolk who are building out the various figures and soldiers and stuff in the Terracotta Army using clay as one of the main resources, or you can hire specialists by using your coin. And you're trying to kind of area control in the mausoleum. You want to create these groupings of a lot of the same type of figure, and you want to have the most of that kind of figure in that group to have dominance in that area.
Yeah, you're scoring points. Yeah, and it's
fairly straightforward because the actions are simple.
The actions are simple. The actions are cool because on this little action wheel, which has three wheels essentially, and then the top two wheels will turn throughout the game. So the action makeups is different, and it just is really, really interesting in that way. And then and it's nice, the mausoleum in there, you can really influence the mausoleum a lot. Even like in a 2-player game, I thought it was very up. Yeah, I thought it was very, very interesting, even as a 2-player game. I really like Terracotta Army. I think it's great. Again, rules-wise, it's actually pretty simple. The setup is also really quick. It's just really, really good. I like it a lot. Terracotta Army is number 9 because it's really good. Number 8 was all over Gen Con. Yeah, this is also the month right after Gen Con, right?
Yeah, so you kind of have a bunch of influence from Gen Con games.
Yes.
Yeah, Cat in the Box was a game that everyone was picking up. It's a fun twist on trick taking where you now have cards that don't have suits, and so by playing a card down around your little player board, it has 4 colors. If you play it on the blue side, it's now a blue 3 or whatever the number might be. And so it kind of trips you out. And as we were kind of thinking about, there's a lot of layers to this game, because like a standard trick-taking game, you're trying to predict how many tricks you're going to win. You can...
there's also a lot of restrictions, because once you play a blue 6, you can never play a blue 6 again.
For the rest of that round, that spot is taken up
If
now.
Mike leads with green, he says, hey, this cat's green, this whole thing's gonna be green. I can play whatever color I want, but then if I choose to play blue, I cannot play green for the rest of the round. So there's a lot of like restrictions that you're ultimately putting on yourself.
Yeah, you kind of have an ever dwindling amount of options that you can legally play.
Indeed.
And you're kind of trying to stay in the round as long as you can, and also win tricks, and also predict correctly.
And also try to get like a grouping of your little pieces.
As you put tokens onto the central board, if you have them all together and you predict the right amount of tricks, you get bonus points for that grouping. There's a lot of different things going on.
I think for me personally, and I have to play this game some more, and I want to play it, we played it in a 5-player account. I want to play like a 3 or 4.
Yeah.
To me, it's like there's one too many things, is what it kind of feels like to me. I want to try it again. I did enjoy it, to be fair, but like it was just, there was so much stuff to consider. I'm like, I don't know if I want a trick-taking game with this much stuff to consider, but I did enjoy it, and I'm really interested to try it more, because it is weird, but in a good way.
Yeah, but it captured a lot of people's attention because it had good buzz going to Gen Con. It's very portable, so a lot of people had this, and that kind of fueled its spot on the hotness, I think.
That's number 8.
Number 7's been around for a few months now. This is Oathsworn.
Every month, it's just up here. People love it.
I think a lot of people are really digging into Oathsworn right now. And then the main thing you were kind of pointing out, there's a lot of people doing painting of the figures, doing terrain stuff for this game, getting really into interacting with this game.
Yeah, people are really, it's a kind of a big RPG game, and you know, lots of really big minis, a big old rat and stuff like that. But one of the things why I think this game kind of sticks around is, one, because people are really enjoying it, they're talking about it in the forums, stuff like that, but also it just seems like it's everywhere. In the images thing, there's always people painting it, painting the terrain. There's all this like big, crazy, cool terrain in it.
People are doing
and people are
awesome
really
stuff.
digging it. And it's gotten, I mean, we've been saying for a couple months now, we've been wanting to try it. And man, it's just everywhere. It's the point. I'm like, guys, I want to try this game. It's just everywhere, it feels like. Yeah. And so, yeah, super excited to try Oathsworn whenever we get a chance to. But it has just been all over the hotness for a couple months now. It just seems like every single month it's just here. People are really, really digging it. And it's number 7.
Number 6 is all about reviving the Earth 5,000 years after the fall of mankind. It's Revive.
It's called Revive.
It's called Revive. This is a game where you are playing these kind of asymmetric factions that have kind of a different focus, a different ability in the game, and you're sort of trying to like excavate the Earth again. It's all frozen over and stuff now, and you're trying to bring back populations, and you're trying to make this place habitable once again. Yeah. It seems really interesting in terms of like the way everything's working and the kind of card play that goes on. You have like your own player board with all this stuff to explore. Everything's like dual layer, and like production-wise seems very nice. Yes. It's just kind of an interesting theme that like personally, like I'm intrigued by. You know, it sort of is a little bit bleak how humanity fell, but I like the kind of optimistic tone of like, let's rebuild something now.
Let's make it
whatever group of people come up next, because someday we'll be long gone, and someone's gonna go digging down. They're gonna be like, dink, and they're gonna hit the top of the Statue of Liberty and be like, what is that in the ground? You know, ding, 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 ding. But we'll be out of here. But it's just an interesting idea for a game of kind of excavating and getting everything jump started once again. Yeah, it looks cool art and stuff. It's an intriguing theme. I think that's why it's on the hotness.
Yeah, it definitely seems cool. Revive is number 6. Number 5 is a game that was kind of all over Gen Con, although they didn't have very many copies. This is Twilight Inscription. This is the roll and write version of Twilight Imperium. It's a humongous roll and write, because Twilight Imperium is a humongous game.
Only you can't have it be a 20-minute.
That would
filler.
be rude to
That'd be insane.
the big old lion that's on the front. Rex, Mechatar Rex, something like
that.
But nonetheless, this is a big one.
I think that's the name of a monster truck, actually. But
probably
something
like
like that.
But nonetheless, Twilight Inscription, they only had a couple copies each day, like I think 50 copies each day, so they went out very quickly. But nonetheless, and this has kind of been a divisive one. We know some people who have really not liked it, some people who have like absolutely loved it. It's kind of all over the place, so I really want to try it, one out of sheer curiosity.
You gotta know, right?
But we also have no real ties to Twilight Imperium, because it's just not our kind of game. So like, we're not going in there with like a love of the base, not the base game, but you know what I mean?
Because like, how could you put something so big as TI4
I have heard it's not very
something?
Twilight Imperium-y.
I'm okay with that, because I'm like, well, it's of course it's not. That's like an 8-hour game, but you know. So I think maybe we'll probably enjoy it more than maybe diehard TI4 fans, but it's one that I'm like, I just want to know what it's like to play a 2-hour roll and write.
Pretty much.
And I'm gonna find out.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. I'm curious to try it. It's number 5, Twilight Inscription. Yeah, it's kind of a divisive one. Number 4 here is here every month. It's Ark Nova.
Ark Nova.
Zoos, animals,
People love
enclosures,
animals, enclosures,
cards.
zoo stuff. We're gonna keep it brief here because we might circle back
We might be
around.
talking
Ark
about
Nova.
it in a moment.
But Ark Nova's been all over the hotness in general. It's great.
It's the most popular game in the last couple of years. I mean, it is just non-stop, just climbing its way to
it
the top
fully
100.
usurped Lost Ruins of Arnok and Dune Imperium. Not that those games aren't around, but they were the conversation, and it's now Ark Nova.
Yeah, it's just been that way. It's almost been a year now because it came out at Essen, and it has been talked about. It's been in the top 10 of hotness since then. So here's the thing: Ark Nova is great. We absolutely love it. We like the game a lot. It's fun.
Back around.
Let's move on. Number 3 is the next one in the Big T series. This is Tillatum.
Yes, indeed. So this is one that I think is slated for like Essen, so it's coming out soon.
Soon here.
And it was being demoed at Gen Con.
People were
and
really
people were
liking
really
it.
enjoying that.
Love being those wealthy merchant people.
Yes, it's very much like you're wealthy merchants in Europe and you're doing stuff. And I'm like, man, if this ain't a board and dice game, like it is a board and dice game. It is right in the wheelhouse of board and dice where you are drafting dice and doing stuff with those dice, which B&D, as we call it, have been doing really well for quite some time.
Yes.
So in this one, one thing that seems really interesting is it seems to borrow from Tekenu, and where you're drafting out these dice, but now you have actions that are associated with the dice and then resources.
Yeah.
But if you take a die that's maybe a low value, it's not going to produce a lot of resources, but the action might be stronger.
Which is interesting.
Or the other way around. And I love the idea of that kind of push and pull of like, you get a weak version of this, but a strong version of that. And you try to go kind of mid where you kind of get a little bit of everything, or do you try to go strong resource game? I'll take a lesser action right now. So that kind of inverse idea, I think will create a lot of interesting decision points.
Yeah, a lot of the people we know who we share a lot of interests with in terms of games, like, love this game.
Yeah,
and
we've
so
heard
we're
people who
really
said,
interested in
yeah,
trying
we had
it.
more than one person come up to us at Gen Con and be like, you're going to love that game.
Yeah,
And we're like,
pretty much.
Okay, I want to find
Good
out
to know.
more.
Good to know.
Well, time will tell if it does work with us, but we do like a lot of board and dice games, so the odds are good that we'll enjoy this one personally. And a lot of board and dice has, those T games have a lot of,
They're made for us personally.
it feels that way, but they're popular games, so it's not a surprise to see Tillatum, heating up as it gets closer to its eventual release.
It makes sense. That's number 3. Let's get number 2. Number 2 is a game we're very interested in because we love Vladimir Suki, and this is Woodcraft.
I know, I'm like...
Vladimir Suki is one of my favorite designers. Anytime Vladimir comes out with anything, which he did like Last Will, Prodigal's Club, Shipyard, Pulsar 2049, Underwater Cities, Project Put Rainy, whole bunch of different stuff. Every single one, I'm like, well, these are all absolute bangers of games. So, like, seriously, like some of my, like, Prodigal's Club was my number 2 game. I love it. So it's like anything.
This is a co-design, I believe. But
yes, it is.
But yeah, it's.
But by Delicious Games, who always makes good stuff. And this one, you're like crafting like dice. You're like woodland folk crafting.
You're working with wood. You're working with different types of woods. I don't know if you're like woods folk or like wood folk. Are you made of wood in the game? I don't know. The point is,
the people on the front do kind of have like a
I'm eating myself. But you're working with different types of wood and stuff, and kind of dice are representative of the pieces of wood I think that you're working with. So you can cut them down to size and stuff by manipulating the values of dice, and you're trying to kind of run the best, most efficient workshop you can, which is a great theme for a game.
Cute.
So you're working with different types of wood. You're trying to, I think, kind of make your workshop as efficient as you can and stuff. So this is one that purely for us, based off the look, based off the designers and stuff, like I'm at a 10. Like I'm ready to go. Like give me that game right now. I want to play you.
Real talk.
So excited for it.
Yeah, super excited for Woodcraft. We will immediately buy it.
Gonna be great.
Don't need to know anything.
Just here's some money and there's a game.
That's number 2. Let's get number 1. Here's the thing.
We said we're coming back around, Nick.
Number 1 could have been either of the Ark Nova products that were basically planted number 1. It's gonna be Ark Nova Aquarius, which is the expansion that was announced. The Ark Nova like promo map pack was also number 1 for like 2 weeks though. So really, it could have been either of those. We're gonna put it in there. Ark Nova extra stuff is here.
Number 1.
But Ark Nova Aquarius is number 1 because it was just park number 1. Ark Nova is very, very popular. If you don't know, people love it. And this is an expansion where it's kind of like kind of like small aquatic animals that their enclosures are going to have to be next to water.
Right.
There's going to be more maps. There's going to be like some alternate action cards that you kind of draft out at the beginning, which sounds super interesting.
I'm gonna have a version of the build action that you don't have at all.
Yes, which is super interesting.
Very
and then also certain changes. It looks like whenever an aquatic animal comes out, you kind of wipe the whole card row.
You wipe out a couple of them or something like that.
Which is nice because then it'll kind of circulate through because you're also gonna be adding cards to a big stack of cards.
It's not yay.
Here's
already.
Ark Nova for me personally is like probably a top 10 game as expansion, especially like with cool water animals. I'm here.
I'm super excited to see what they do. You know, we do like that they put out things saying like there's not gonna be orcas and dolphins because we're like, yeah, they should be in captivity. That's not good. So it seems like they're focusing on smaller aquatic animals, which is nice.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm just curious to see like, you know, are they all gonna have a similar function? Are they going to have like a style to them?
I don't know.
How is it going to influence the game overall? But having like the ability to draft specific action cards that are different is super exciting.
And my hope is, and I don't know how the expansion is going to work. My hope is like that part of it. I almost hope it's kind of like module. Like I hope you can do that with like the base game if you want.
That'd be awesome.
Because then it's like if you ever don't want, or maybe say you don't like the aquatic animals for whatever reason, it's like then you can just do that. I really hope
you feel like you'd be able to do that.
I think so too, but we'll have to kind of see.
That's number one is again more Ark Nova.
Ark Nova stuff. At the end of every Hotness video, we always talk about the most played games. So these are the games that were logged on BoardGameGeek as being played. And we talk about it because we think it's kind of an interesting list. Yeah. Number 10 on here was Magic the Gathering, which was probably played more than this, but it's 5,062. But Mikey, only 480 people logged that.
Gosh.
Which is insane.
That is... Wow, that is a staggering
That's
fact.
a staggering thing.
Next we have Spirit Island on the list, which was at 5,150 plays.
Indeed, 1,650 people played that one though, much bigger.
Still.
Terraforming Mars is 5,221.
We got The Crew Mission Deep Sea at 5,558.
And then The Crew Quest for Planet 9 at 6,691.
We got Cascadia, an infinitely playable game, so says us at 6,698 plays.
If that ever hits BGA, it's going to explode.
It's over.
Azul, which is on BGA, at 7,583.
Absolutely. We got Wingspan, of course, always here at 7,780 plays.
And then usually number 2 or number 1 is Marvel Champions, which is 9,544.
And as we talked about, people be playing Ark Nova, all right? It's at 9,683.
Again, for like 3 months now, 3 or 4 months, it's been either number 1 or number 2. Bananas. Absolutely bananas. That's the Hotness. That's the most games played this month. Let's pop back up and let's go over some Murph picks. My Murph pick is going to be another photographer. Last month I talked about what's Eric playing, and this month I'm going to talk about Steph Hodge. Steph Hodge is absolutely wonderful. You've probably seen Steph Hodge around BoardGameGeek. She works at BoardGameGeek a lot. We used to do top 10 videos with Steph Hodge. She's a very good friend of ours, and she's also a really incredible photographer, if you didn't know that, and she photographs board games because Steph is all about playing all the games. That's what Steph does. She plays all of them. It's astonishing how many games Steph gets played. We'll talk to her and we'll be like, oh, it was a good weekend. She's like, yeah, I played like 67 new games. And we're like, God, I played 67 new games this year. And it's just an absolute machine. But on top of playing all those games, she takes pictures of them as well, and really, really outstanding pictures. I like to shout out photographers because I think they do really, really wonderful work that a lot of times kind of goes unthanked by a lot of people because people see their pretty pictures and go, cool. Maybe give it a thumb up, and that's pretty much it. And they're really doing such wonderful work, and Steph Hodge is one of the best. Again, you've seen her work around BoardGameGeek. I guarantee it. You just might not have known it was her who took the picture. But she, on top of that, also makes a yearly calendar, Steph's awesome game calendar, and it has her wonderful, wonderful photography of a whole bunch of different games, and she makes one every year, usually crowdfunds it, and they're just so cool. We've had many Steph Hodge calendars in the past. I like to have like those kind of nerdy calendars like in my office and stuff. I just think it's wonderful to look up and be like, oh, look at those pretty games. That's amazing. Because games are really pretty in a lot of ways. Even games that aren't always the most gorgeous looking games with like art can still be shot in a very lovely way. And nowadays with a lot of games that have very good components, very beautiful art, you literally can make just complete works of art out of taking photos of them. It's really, really cool. Steph Hodge is awesome. Make sure to check out her work. She's the best.
So for my Murph pick is a forum post where someone said, give me your best board game memes. Now, as with everything memes, there's some hits, there's some misses and stuff, but there's some clever ones. I personally enjoy the Terminator 2 one where they're on the phone call checking to see if the foster parents are still around. And this time, of course, John Carter says, I like board games. the Terminator asks, hey, is my copy of Monopoly there? And mom says like, yeah, of course it's there. And he goes like, your foster parents are dead. That's great. The meme is much better than I could have possibly told the joke. There's some funny memes in there and stuff. There's ones with like, take, I have a particular set of skills. Why do you keep giving me dice games? That's one that very much resonates with me personally because I don't get along with dice. They don't like me and I certainly don't like them back, and things like that. So if you want to enjoy a bit of lighthearted humor or contribute your own board game meme, if you got a joke in your back pocket, you're like, this is gold, make a meme and add it to the list.
So that's the hotness, Murph picks, all that kind of stuff. The very last thing we do is we always talk about our personal favorite game of the month. Mike, what was your favorite game this month?
Turing Machine. I love doing it. I love doing that puzzle every single day. It's a logic game.
Loves Turing Machine.
I like to get the code. I must know the code.
Yeah.
In this game, you are making a little punchboard computer that you're using to get things whittled down until there's only one code that it could be. Then you test it, and if you're correct, you feel very good about yourself.
Oh, hi, Mary. Sorry, Mary is... This is Mary. My favorite game of the month was Terracotta Army, which we talked about a little bit in the top 10 hottest games. Terracotta Army is super fun. It might be my favorite of like the T series, kind of like the bigger, heavier games by Board&Dice that start with T. It's really, really fun. I'm not gonna go the whole thing again, but I absolutely adore it. I love it. And look at Mary. Look at her little face.
She loved playing board games or eating the pieces anyway this month, didn't you? Yes. Those are our favorite things from this month. What are your favorite games? New to you, old that you played in the month? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah. And I think that's gonna be it. I'm Nick.
I'm Mike.
This is Mary.
And that was the best of Board Game Geek.
Bye.